Shalom. Shalom. The title of this lesson is Heathen and Gentile Israelites. Lost through sin, but restored through faith. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakah, Quadash, and double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who rule well and teach well through the Spirit, and a mighty shalom to the hopeful elect, scattered four corners of the earth, in the same Spirit, as a whole, the willing that shall continue in sound doctrine. And shalom to the Akwaf, the believers of this faith, Lord willing you continue to pursue your lot, which is being a loving and silent and virtuous wife. And Lord willing Yahweh Shemashai has mercy on the other brothers and sisters that is not in the faith. Again, the title of this lesson is Heathen and Gentile Israelites, lost through sin, restored through faith. So the scriptures show that a heathen Israelite is one who knows the laws but rejects them. And a Gentile Israelite is one who lost knowledge of the covenant and must be restored through Yahweh Shai. Okay? So the first point we're going to deal with is the heathen Israelites know the law but rebel. Heathen Israelites is one who became as the nations through disobedience, rebellion, and spiritual corruption. They know the law of Yahweh but choose wickedness. Now, I did have a precept I wanted to start with, but just because of that point, I want to jump to 2nd Esdras, the 2nd chapter. First, I want to read verse 7. It says, "Let them be scattered abroad among the heathen. Let their names be put out of the earth, for they have despised my covenant." So now let's go down just so we can back that up, so you can see where Ezra called Israelites heathen. So this is verse 33. "I, Ezra, received a charge from Yahweh Shemashai upon Mount Oreb, that I should go unto Israel, but when I came unto them," so he was to go to Israel, but he came unto them, "and they set me at naught and despised the commandment of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai." They despised it. They rejected it. "Therefore I say unto you," he's speaking to the Israelites, "O ye heathen, that hear and understand." They understand what the commandments, what the law of the commandment says. "Look for your shepherd. He shall give you everlasting rest." The shepherd is Yahweh Shai, which is the good shepherd. Psalms 23. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. For he is nigh at hand, that shall come in the end of the world." Now I'm going to just click that heathen precept just to get this, to get it quick. Ezekiel 20 and 32. "And that which cometh into your mind shall not be at all, that ye say, we will be as the heathen, as the families of the countries to serve wood and stone." Right? This is the Israelites. Ezekiel 25 and 8. "Thus saith Yahweh Shemashai power, because that Moab and Seir do say, behold, the house of Judah is like unto all the heathen." Right? Because the majority, the bulk of the northern kingdom was already in the Americas. Right? Because eventually the southern kingdom go into the Babylon, the Persians, the Greeks, and then the Romans. But before the Romans, we got Hellenized. The southern kingdom is scattered four corners in the known land. Okay? And they started to pick up attribute of the heathens. When you go to Galatians 3 and 8, "In the scriptures foreseeing that the Most High would justify the heathen through faith, which preached before the gospel unto Abraham, saying, in these shall all nations be blessed." Why? Because Israel was in all nations. Everybody, all nations are going to be blessed. No, this is speaking in Abraham. All nations going to be blessed. How? Because his children are going to be in those nations. There's no nation on the earth saying Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. So why is people jumping up for joy? Let alone in the kingdom, yes. If we look at another sense, the other nations outside of Esau is going to be blessed. They're going to go back into their land. But literally, they're going to be blessed because the descendants of Abraham is going to be dwelling in them. Because it just says that, it says, foreseeing that the Most High would justify the heathen through faith, preach before the gospel unto Abraham, saying, in thee shall all nations be blessed. Earlier, what did I say? Right? Earlier, I said that a heathen Israelite is one who became as the nations through disobedience, rebellion, and spiritual corruption. They know the law of Yahweh, but choose wickedness. How can they become as the other nations? They had to be dwelling with them, right? Dwelling in the midst of them. So now let's go back to the main scripture I had on the screen. Psalms 106, verse 34 to 36. It says, they did not destroy the nations concerning whom Yahweh Shemashai commanded them. But we mingled among the heathen and learned their works, and they served their idols, which were a snare unto them. Now, when we go into history, we can go back into the Amalekites, which we didn't completely destroy because of Saul, right? And then you go into the time when in the book of Judges, that's further back in the history, where we were supposed to destroy certain of the Canaanites. But when you read Judges 3, the Lord left some of them to approve Israel. But guess what? That was a test, and Jake was going to already fall because it was already prophesied. Okay? So Israel became as the heathen by rejecting Yahweh's ways. Though choosing, they adopted the customs of wickedness of other nations. When you look at, I'm not going to go to because the lesson going to be long, so I'm just speaking on it. You can go read it. When you go into the book of Judges, when you see the Levite, when he had that harlot woman, right? What happened to the harlot woman? Benjamin wanted to know the Levite man. They wanted to have sex with him. If you read another translation, they wanted to have sex with him. But the elder was like, "No, that's wickedness. No. Take I believe take the daughters." And the Levite, he threw out his concubine. He threw out the harlot, and they had their way with her. But what did Benjamin do? They wanted to lay with the man. Where'd they get that from? Hamites was laying with men, laying with animals, having incest, father laying with his daughter, mother laying with her son, right? You've seen Ham, seen the nakedness of his father, okay? So the Israelites adopted the customs of the other nations. And it's in multiple histories we can go to. But let's go to Jeremiah chapter 2 in verse 21. It says, yet I have planted thee a noble vine, holy a right seed. How then art thou turned into a degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? A degenerate plant are Israelites who became as heathens through rebellion and sin. They know the law, but despise correction. You have multiple accounts when you actually even go into the book of Jeremiah, right? But let's go into some other history, because we just want all these precepts line upon line, here a little, there a little, wherever we go, to line up and be edified. Okay, so this is 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 11 to 15. It says, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen. Jason in 2 Maccabees, which is to further the history and to give you the other side, Jason was one of them that started to push customs. At first he wanted to be established as a high priest, but started to push the heathen customs on us, right? So again, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so afraid herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen. I think it's Sirach 15 or 18, the Lord doesn't give us a license to sin, but the heathen gave us a license to sin, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the custom of the heathen. Second Maccabees 6, we started to do Olympics and made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant and joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief. And when you go into history, especially the jewishhistory.org, you can find the Hellenized history where Jake was sewing their foreskin. We was doing cosmetic surgery to look like a Greek. Some of us despised the laws of the Lord, and they despised the revoke of the Maccabees because that was making it worse in the land, and they were getting afflicted. It's like, man, they doing this and this making it worse for us, you know. So that's just like Jake now, you know, the brothers getting in the truth, we teaching the word, and then Esau want to afflict all black Latinos and natives because we teaching the word. Some Jake is gonna despise being from our nation. Okay. So what we just read, Israelites became heathen by rejecting the covenant. This is rebellion, not ignorance. They knew Yahweh's law, but willingly forsook them. Now, it was demanded in other verses, and some of them yielded to it. Verse 50, it says, and whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said should die. In the self-same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom and appointed overseers over the people, commanding the city of Judah to sacrifice city by city. I want to just show, it says, and many of the people were gathered unto them, and to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land. So it's many people, many men, women, and even children that forsook the law and started to do evil, and drove the Israelites into secret places, and even where so they could flee from succor. Now, when you go to Romans 2:28 and 29, when Paul said, to be a Jew is to be one inwardly, right? When it says it drove the Israelites into secret places, a real Israelite is one inwardly. They wanted to follow the ways of the Lord. That's why you had the Maccabees revolt. They wanted to follow the ways of the Lord. Second Maccabees 6 and 7. Those are real Israelites. They were willing to die for it. They knew that their nation, that they said, we committed a sin. This is why Yahweh is angry with us. He's angry with us for a little moment. But it was Jake that didn't want to get afflicted. So they wanted to yield to the heathens. Okay? Verse 57, it says, and wheresoever was found with any of the book of the testament, right, the book of the law, or if any consented to the law, the king's commandment was that they should be put to death. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the city, right? If they found anybody with the book of the testament or the law, they was put to death, and Israelites was happy to do it or be a part of it, right? Verse 60, and at which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. Guess what? That woman was a true Israelite. She was still following the ways. The child was an Israelite. What did they do? Verse 61, they hanged the infants about their necks and raffled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them. Come on, man. Right? And you know, you see verse 63, wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So they did die. This is only a few, going back to the remnant. The remnant always was around. So again, Israelites became heathens by rejecting the covenant. They didn't reject the covenant. So these were Israelites inwardly, right? Inwardly. This is rebellion, not ignorance. They knew Yahweh's law, but willingly forsook them. And that was many Israelites that forsook the law. So Earlier, we read Exodus 20 and 32, right? So really, Yahushua rebukes Israel's desire to live as heathens, right? A heathen Israelite choose the ways of the nations over the covenant, right? Let me actually, because we already read it, let's read it in NLT. Ezekiel chapter 20 and verse 32. What comes into your mind will never happen when you say, we will like the pagan nations, like the tribes of the Gentiles, countries serving idols made of wood and stone. That was plain. We will be like the pagan nations, like the tribes of the Gentiles. Come on, man. There's no way around that. So now the Gentile Israelites lost the knowledge of Yahweh, right? So the Gentile Israelites is one scattered among the nations, ignorant to their true identity, covenant, and laws. They lived as Gentiles because they were cut off and lost the faith. Let's go to Hosea. This is another classic. Hosea 1, verse 9 and 10. Then said the Most High, call his name Lo Ami, for ye are not my people, and I will not be your power. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God, which is fulfilled in this time. Israel was cast off and called not my people, becoming as the Gentiles. Does that mean that the Lord has done away with them? No. Paul said, the Lord, did the Lord cast away his people? No, God forbid. Right? He cast them off by saying, you're not my people. Does that mean forever? No, because we read in different verses that they wanted to be like the heathens, but would later be restored through faith in Yahweh Shai. Galatians 3 and 8. Plain. Okay? That's plain. That's super plain. Okay? This is Ephesians chapter 2, and we're going to read verse 11 to 13. It says, wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands. Right? The uncircumcision is those that wanted to be of the other nations, that didn't care for the law. Circumcision is those that still kept the ways, like when we go into the Greek captivity. That's why it's very important to always go into the Greek captivity. That at that time you were without Hamashiach, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel, and strangers from the covenant of promise, having no hope, and without the Most High in the world. But now in Hamashiach Yahushai, ye who sometimes were far off are made nigh by the blood of Hamashiach. So Paul is teaching that these Gentiles were Israelites who became alienated, foreign, strangers from the covenant. They were Israelites living as Gentiles due to captivity and loss of identity. Judges 2 and 10. When another generation came, they did not know the ways of Yahweh Shemashai. They didn't even know him because they wasn't taught. Right? You cleave to the customs that's around you. 1 Corinthians 12 and 2. Just like we did with Gentile Israelites, I clicked that button. I clicked the button for Gentile Israelites. I clicked the button for heathen Israelites. I clicked the button for Gentile Israelites. 1 Corinthians 12 and 2. Ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led. The other nations already been Gentiles. But the only thing, when the Lord calls Israel by name throughout the whole Bible, he calls the other nations by name in the Old Testament for certain point. So now we in the New Testament saying Gentiles, the Lord is speaking in code, because this only for the elect. 2 Maccabees 6 and 9. And whoso would not conform themselves to the manners of the Gentiles would be put to death. Then might a man have seen the present misery. Acts 10 and 45. And they of the circumcision which believed were astonished, as many as came with Peter, because that on the Gentiles also was poured out the gift of the Rakakwadash, the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit can only be given to Israelites. Okay, Galatians 3 and 8. In the scriptures, foreseeing that the Most High would justify the heathen through faith, preached before the gospel unto Abraham, saying, in thee shall all nations be blessed. Right? Heathen Israelites didn't care, but we can't just say all of them, because it's heathen Israelites that actually started to cleave to the truth. It was Gentile Israelites that started to cleave to the truth. St. John 7 and 39. Then said the Jews among themselves, whither will he go, that we shall not find him? Will he go unto the dispersed among the Gentiles and teach the Gentiles? Even these Israelites that was of the circumcision knew that it was other Israelites that was in the midst of the Gentiles, walking in cleaving to the customs of the Gentiles, the dispersed among the Gentiles. Man, right? This is Romans 9 and 25. And he saith also to Hosea, I will call them my people, which are not my people, for her beloved, which was not beloved. That's in Hosea, the first chapter. Come on. And the Lord even made Hosea get a whorish wife and have whorish children to be symbolic to the nation of Israel. The wife represents the nation of Israel. The two children represented, because they both had two different meanings. A people not loved and not my people was symbolic to the nation of Israel, southern and northern kingdom, right? So let's go to Baruch 3 and 8. We almost done. Right? We always got to go over these points over and over again, because there's always somebody new coming into faith that don't understand. This Baruch 3 and 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and for a curse, and to be subject to payments according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from Yahweh Shema Shai, our power. This is a sign, right? All the Israelites will be into captivity and be scattered, but you will be subject to payment. That's taxes. All nations is tax, but when you separate the Israelites are going to be in this situation because they have sinned, because they departed from Yahweh Shema Shai. So Israelites scattered among the nations, took on Gentile customs, forgot the law, fulfilling the prophecy of being Gentiles in the flesh, right? So let's get Romans, the 9th chapter, verse 24 to 26. Even us whom ye have called, not of the Jews only, but also of the Gentiles, as he saith also in Hosea, I will call thee my people, which are not my people, and her beloved, which was not beloved. And it shall come to pass that in the place in Hosea 1 and 10, where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall they be called the children of the living power. People say you always go to the Old Testament. This is what they were referencing. And a lot of people are afraid of the Old Testament because I was dealing with the Israelites that which pertain to the Old Covenant. Why is he even reading the Old Covenant? If y'all say, when we get into the Matthew, we in the New Covenant. But Paul was reading the things that pertain to the Old Covenant, right? Because this is still dealing with Israelites. Paul directly connects the Gentiles being called back to the prophecy of Hosea, proving these Gentiles are Israelites returning to the covenant by faith through Yahweh Shai, right? We got 3 more points, right? And then we're going to close. This is Isaiah 11. Isaiah 11. Salaki, y'all. I got to tell this brother. Salaki, y'all. I got to tell the brother. I think that was the brother that wanted to do camp, but it's too late in the season. This Isaiah 11 and 12, it says, and it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh Shai shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, from Egypt, from Pathros, from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up a sign, a banner for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth, right? The outcast of Israel is the northern kingdom, right? So both rebellious heathen-like and ignorant Gentile-like Israelites will be gathered and restored in the last days, the southern and northern kingdom, the black, Latino, Hispanic, and Native American. And I'm really going off of what they're called in Babylon. But the southern and northern kingdom is scattered four corners of the earth. Okay, let's go to Tobit, the 13th chapter, which is a great and beautiful chapter. You should definitely read. Message. That was a message. That had to be a message. The alarm came off. Tobit 13:3, it says, confess him before the Gentiles, ye children of Israel, for he hath scattered us among them. When the Lord wake up the Israelites in the nation of the Gentiles, right, they're going to come back to their ways. All Israelites, especially when you look at Revelations 11:7-11, the Israelites through four corners of the earth were moving like Gentiles, moving like heathens. They didn't know who the hell they was. They did not know. But that breath of life came into them. Now they know who they is. Right? They coming back to the realization. Baruch chapter 2 verse 30, in the land of their captivity, they shall remember who they are, because the Spirit is going to bear witness with them. Israel commanded to confess Yahweh among the Gentiles, not to convert other nations, but to awaken the scattered Israelites among them. That's what we doing today. I'm not here to wake up a actual natural born heathen. I'm trying to wake up the Israelites, right? Be a light unto them. Wake your butt up. You are God's chosen people, right? We're going to go into these prophecies, these parables. We're going to get into the history, right? To show you how did Jay get here? Can you show proof why your people got here? Oh, the slave trade. Okay, that slave trade lines up with prophecy of the Israelites. Oh, snap, dang, I am them. This is Acts 15, verse 14. Simeon have declared how the Most High at first did visit the Gentiles to take out of them a people for his name. And to this agree the words of the prophets, as it is written, after this I will return, and I will build again the tabernacle of David, which is fallen down, and I will build again the ruins thereof, and I will set it up, that the residue of men might seek after the Yahweh Shemashai, and all the Gentiles upon whom my name is called, right? Because what's the name of Israel? Yasharella, right? Saith Yahweh Shemashai, who doeth all these things. In the spirit of Yasharella, really the elect on the side, they're going to rise up. So the Gentiles being called are Israelites who lost the law, but are being reclaimed for his name's sake. Yahushai's mission to restore the lost sheep, and Yahushai is doing it through the prophets, right? I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to go to 1 John real quick. This is Matthew 15:24, a classic. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Through the Spirit, Yahushai is teaching through us. Luke 10, verse 1. When he had the 70, he sent 2 by 2 to different cities, and he said, I send you where I would go. We're through the Spirit, we in the book of Acts right now, where wherever the prophets is scattered four corners of the earth, this is where Yahushai would teach. And if you got the Rakak Wadash, it came in the name of Yahushai. Yahweh Shemashai is teaching through you. And if Yahushai went to the lost sheep of Israel, at that time he went to the southern kingdom first, but it's about all Israel. Now he's doing the same thing what he did with the apostles back then, to get those dispersed and scattered in those known lands. And now the Lord is getting the bulk of us because we're in the end time prophecy. So let's get this in 1 John 2 and 6. So if Yahushai did it, we must do it. But this is in a bigger scale. 1 John 2 and 6. He that saith he abideth in him ought himself also so to walk even as he walked. How did Yahushua walk? He was only sent to the lost sheep. So when you start to become a prophet, a teacher of this thing, you are only to teach the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yes, you're teaching in other nations the gospel on their judgment, their role in the kingdom. Right? Come on, man. So Yahushua clarifies his mission. The Gentile and heathen Israelites who lost their way are still the house of Israel. They are the lost sheep, right? So both categories are Israelites in need of mercy. Yahushua came to restore them to the covenant, making the Bible a record of Israel's fall and redemption. A lot of y'all can't get that. This is a record of the Israelites, and it has information of the other nations, because the Lord did, just the Israelites. No, you had the surrounding nations around you. When you go to Ecclesiastes, the 4th chapter, it says, ain't no done away of the people. All nations, the 18 nations on the earth, they're still here. Okay? So when you look at Romans again, the 11th chapter, verse 25 to 26, the blindness in part is happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles become in. And so all Israel shall be saved. On this side, all Israel shall be saved, dealing with the elect, which accumulate the 12 tribes. Because first you have the 144,000, which is 12,000 of each tribe. 12,000 from each tribe. Then you have the great multitude in Revelation 7 and 9, which is all the elect scattered 4 corners of the earth. And there's a mixture of that tribe, this tribe, that tribe, that tribe, this tribe, this tribe. Is a mixed multitude of all the tribes, which is the 1/3, but it's the great multitude. And the 2/3 is going to be destroyed, and through the elect, the 2/3 shall come through the loins of the men, through sex. And that's Daniel, the 12th chapter, verse 2, which some are going to wake up to everlasting life and some to everlasting shame and contempt. Who is that? That is not no Edomite, because they're not having everlasting life in the other nations. That is speaking about the Israelites, a world without end, Isaiah 45 and 17. So Lord willing, this is edifying. Again, the title of this lesson is Heathen and Gentile Israelites, lost through sin, restored through faith. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, B'Shem Rakakwadash, Brakat the Yahweh, Brakat the Yahushai. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well through the Spirit. And a mighty shalom to the hopeful elect in the same Spirit. Lord willing, as a whole, y'all continue in sound doctrine. Shalom to the Akwaf, the sisters of this faith. Lord willing, you continue to pursue your lot. And Lord willing, Yahweh Shema Shai has mercy on the other brothers and sisters that's not in faith. With that, shalom, shalom, above all.